Hello, today I am going to be talking about deforestation and managed forests, specifically the Canadian boreal forest. Today I'm going to talk about preservation, responsible usage, and a response to climate change, as well as how these ideas can be implemented into the Saskatchewan classroom. We're going to answer a few questions today. So firstly, we're going to answer what the boreal forest is. We're also going to investigate what the current state is of the forest, why this matters, and why this should matter to Saskatchewan students and teachers in particular, as well as how this can be incorporated into the curriculum. So firstly, what is the boreal forest? This is a forest that in Canada stretches over 552 million hectares. It stores carbon, purifies air and water, and aids in climate regulation. It is also home to over 150 bird species, the native animal, the woodland caribou, and many other animals. It is a forest that naturally renews itself through wildfires, which is one of its unique qualities. The boreal forest stretches over quite a large area in Canada, and it is a source of natural resources as well as home to many industries throughout Canada. So when did people start having concerns about the boreal forest? Well, in the past 100 years, the global temperature has risen over 1 degree. And in 2008, the CCFM released a statement identifying climate change as one of the main priorities of importance to Canada's forest sector, because the forest sector will be greatly impacted by changes to climate change. This is even more concerning because the boreal forest sector alone, that is just the forestry industry, provided over 100,000 jobs in 2011, and that number continues to grow today. So why are we so worried about it? Why is it concerning that global warming and the forest sector are intertwined? So more than 30% of the boreal forest has been reserved for industrial use, and the current protection plans do not account for climate change realities. So there's a large industrial and economic benefit, as well as the forest's role in protecting further climate change. In saying this, the forest is becoming more sensitive to the wildfires that help it naturally regulate itself. So we're seeing different ages of trees than we normally would, as well as more fires. We're seeing greater disturbance rates changing, so there's more disturbances happening in the area. We're seeing regional forest productivity decrease and a greater variability in the timber supply that we are able to remove. It is also a safety and health issue that is being created for the forest communities, both people and the animals living in the area. So it's really important that we understand the fact that the forest ecosystem is very fragile, especially in a managed forest. And so if we aren't continuing to manage the forest in new ways, accounting for climate change, then we create an even further disaster in our forest ecosystem. When we look at the curriculum outcomes and how talking about the boreal forest and managed forests plays into the curriculum, there are several curricular outcomes from K to 6 as well as in other levels, but I've just outlined K to 6 here, about how the boreal forest and talking about managed forest and industry can all give students a better understanding of the environment and how industry plays a role in the environment, and particularly deforestation. So all that considered, I wanted to look at an approach to teaching the grade 5 curriculum outcome MC 5.3, which assesses how the production, use, and disposal of raw materials and manufactured products affect self, society, and the environment. So discussing the boreal forest with this in mind allows students to investigate the boreal forest's raw material as well as the products that those raw materials are turned into. It also allows students to assess the societal and environmental impacts of industrial and agricultural processes while taking into account being a part of a community. With the boreal forest being a managed forest, it gives students the opportunity to investigate the usage of natural resources while looking into what changes can be made for it to continue to be used. It gives students the opportunity to discuss the effects of climate change, as well as plan for a brighter future of tomorrow and find new solutions that are relevant to finding a way to continue to manage this forest in an appropriate way. I wanted to share my student-made meme as an understanding of and kind of jumping off points for students to really understand the complexity of this issue. So we can look at the first part of the meme at the top, the thinking cutting down trees is wrong. And we inherently know that this is just incorrect. We know that there are ways to effectively protect trees. The next part of the meme is thinking that the Canadian government plan will always protect the forests effectively. We know that this isn't true because we know that the forest plan needs changing over time due to climate change and the different changes that occur over time. We also understand the point on the next point, a little bit higher level of thinking, is thinking that there has to be a balance between exploiting raw materials and deforestation to manage protected forests. And we know that it's a little bit deeper than that. It's a little bit more multifaceted, although that encompasses what they're trying to do. It's not everything. So we need to think of new ways to balance the need for raw materials from managed forests while adapting the forest landscape to be better suited to withstand climate change effectively, and in doing so, educating yourself and others about everyday products and the impact that they have on forests in Canada. After that, I wanted to share some student resources, which include the Pearson Sask Science 5 textbook, Transformed: How Everyday Things Are Made by Bill Sullivan, and Natural Resources Canada, specifically the 8 Facts About the Canadian Boreal Forest article. It's really, really helpful in understanding how the boreal forest fits into industry in Saskatchewan and how managed forests continue to need protection today, as well as some teacher resources that focus mainly on the Narcan Boreal webpage, the Canadian Boreal Forest Conservation Framework, the Boreal Songbird Initiative, and the NCR Climate Change Vulnerability and Adaptations in the Managed Canadian Boreal Forest.